What's going on, guys? Welcome to another Doctor Who Series 12 review. Today we're reviewing Series 12, Episode 2, Spyfall Part 2. So this is the second part to the two-part opener for Series 12. Part 1, if you haven't seen my review, it probably won't be in the link in the description. Oh, you know what? I will put it in the link in the description, actually, because why not? I'll also have just the whole playlist for, which is now the 13th Doctor playlist for reviews. But I will also, if I remember, I'll link my review for Part 1 in the description. This is a little bit later than I was hoping to have it, but I've had a couple of things going on with work and that and just general stuff this week, so I'm a little bit later here with this, but yeah, I have finally got down to reviewing Spyfall Part 2. So just a heads up, there will be spoilers in this video for Part 1 and also for Part 2, so if you haven't seen either of these parts yet, especially Part 2, but I mean also Part 1, I mean if you've seen Part 2 you've seen Part 1 surely, then yeah, spoiler warning is a go here. Anyway, let's get started with the cast. So we start with Jodie Whittaker as the 13th Doctor. Now, I said in the last part that Jodie was pretty good in the last part. I think she was on par as what she's been in Series 11, maybe a little bit better on the average kind of scale. This episode, she has some really good moments. She honestly has some of her best moments that I've seen of her so far. She also, though, just doesn't really do it for me in a lot of scenes. This is one of my issues that I had with Peter Capaldi. Now, the thing is, with Peter Capaldi, it's not with his performance. And, I mean, to be honest, it's probably not with Jodie's performance here either. I mean, with Peter Capaldi, it's definitely not his performance. The issue with him, for me, was that his character was... And this was more season to season than it was from kind of episode to episode and within episodes. He wasn't consistent enough. In his character just wasn't consistent enough, but that wasn't his fault, that was just the writing. And I do kind of feel like that's the same for Jodie Whittaker. She's just, but I mean, I don't know, it's hard to say, but really she has some, I think when Jodie Whittaker's doing serious stuff, which we've only really seen her do in this series, and we've seen a lot of it in this part especially. We saw some in Part 1 as well, but when she's doing the serious stuff, she's really good at it. The problem is, Series 11, the 13th Doctor was very much a silly character. She was playing the comedy character. And I personally, I think that's what Jodie has a lot of fun with, but I just don't really think it works. I don't know if it's the writing that's doing that. I don't know if it's her acting that's doing that. Maybe it's both. It just doesn't really work for me. I think it is more so the writing, though, than the acting. But when she has serious stuff here, she's really, really good. Like, amazingly good. I can tell she is the Doctor, but then when she has the sillier moments, it just kind of puts me off. And she does have a few of those in this episode, sadly. But altogether, I'd say she's decent in this episode. As for the companions, well, honestly, for this episode, sadly, I've kind of just got to put them all together. I'm just going to literally talk about them all together. So you've got Bradley Walsh as Graham O'Brien, Tosin Cole as Ryan Sinclair, and Mandip Gill as Yasmin Khan. Sadly, I think all three of them really don't do a whole lot in this story. They're on the run. That's kind of their main, well, their only real thing in this story. They're on the run, you know, they start off on the plane, they manage to get out of the plane, they manage to land the plane, which is crazy, but anyway, and then they're just on the run from, basically from, what's his name, Daniel Barton's people, like the police and everything. They're most wanted. Yeah, you're thinking about that, it's pretty much just like The Sound of Drums, which was the Series 3 finale 3-parter, the second part of that, with the Master as well. So it borrows that a hell of a lot here, with our three companions being on the run. But they're on the run for the whole episode, but they just don't feel like they have much of a purpose. Their only purpose is that they're on the run, to not die. That is their purpose. There's not really a whole lot else going on plot-wise for them. Their plot is survive. And it's just not engaging enough. I mean, there's a few funny moments in there which we'll talk about later, but yeah, altogether, I'm a little bit disappointed with the companions in this one. Especially after last episode, Spyfall Part 1, Yaz especially, who is a character that really didn't have enough development at all in Series 11, absolutely shone in Part 1. She was really, really good. The other two took a bit more of a backseat, but I was okay with it because Yaz managed to get into the forefront and actually had some interesting stuff happen with her. Sadly, in this one though, all three companions kind of sit back a bit and almost get pretty much taken over by two other characters, Ada and Sonia Khan, get overtaken by, no, Sonia Khan is Thingy's mum, isn't it? That's the wrong person. Noor Inayat Khan, whatever, however you say it. Our companions kind of get taken over with them in this episode, which I'm not really a big fan of, because it's just meaning the companions don't get a whole lot to do. So yeah, I'm a little bit disappointed with all three companions in this one. So yeah, they're on the run. I mean, I have actually got this. I've wrote some note downs for this one actually. And my first note is that the companions are just on the run the whole time. I'm not really the biggest fan of it. I like the concept of it, but one, it's been done before, and two, the companions just don't seem to have anything to do, so they thought, oh, let's just have them on the run. So I'll just have that point over with there, but we are still in the cast, because I do want to talk about Sacha Dhawan as the Master. He's brilliant. He is really, really good. I think his casting as the Master was great. I'm still not 100% sure on bringing the Master back at this point, especially since at least in my eyes, we've kind of now know that, or at least I kind of think in a way that this is the Master after Missy. So I don't know how I feel about that. I was hoping that it was going to be said that this Master was before Missy, maybe after John Sim. But I'd say, with the whole, spoilers again, thing at the end with Gallifrey, how he finds out that Gallifrey is destroyed. Well, it turns out he actually was the one that destroyed Gallifrey. That to me just kind of, it's like, okay, well, this has got to be after Missy then. It just kind of has to be, just with how things work. I mean, Doctor Who, it's all timey-wimey all over the place, but just kind of, it's hard to explain, but the way that this all plays out with everything else, he's got to be after Missy, surely. Like, it just has to be, and I don't know how I feel about that. I really don't. After one, the Doctor finally managed to make Missy good again, and now the Master's just evil again. I mean, fair enough, if he did go crazy, from finding out whatever it is the Time Lords did, I'm really interested in what that's going to be. Maybe that drove him crazy, and that's why he's evil again. But at the same time, also, Missy supposedly completely died. I mean, yeah, the Master just keeps coming back and coming back and coming back, but I think especially with how soon it is from Missy's death, I'm not a big fan of it. But anyway, Sacha Dhawan as the Master, no matter what, he's really, really good. He's honestly going to be one of my favourite Masters. He's so good. He plays the character so well. So many different aspects of, you can see bits of Missy in there. You can see John Sim's Master. You can even see like Roger Delgado and Anthony Ainley's Masters in there. Yeah, really love him. For me, he is my favourite part of this episode. So we'll just keep on going through my dot points here. The Doctor talking to herself at the start and just some of her general goofiness doesn't fit with the situation, in my opinion. I didn't like the thing where she was talking to herself, when she found herself in the place, what was it, I forgot what they're called, Kasavin? Is that what they're called? Is that the Kasavin? I'm just looking on Google, on Wikipedia right now. I think they're the Kasavin, the aliens, the light creatures that we see in this two-parter. She ends up in their world and she starts talking to herself, and it just doesn't really work for me. The peril that she's just come from, the things that she's just found out the Master's alive again, her friends are about to die. She just starts talking to herself in a rather goofy, silly way, and I don't like it. I just find it a little bit off-putting, to be honest. And generally, just a lot of goofiness. I think, like I said before, the Doctor in this one, she feels a bit all over the place. One minute, she's really serious, and you can tell that she's going through some stuff. The Master's back, all this stuff is going to hell for her. She needs to save her friends, and it's just not going her way, and she's very, very angry and upset. And then the next minute, she's off making silly jokes and this and that, and the Doctor has jokey bits now and again, but even like, for instance, the Series 3 finale, again, we'll talk about it, with the Master, with the 10th Doctor. The 10th Doctor isn't very silly in most of that, because he knows it's a serious situation, so he stays serious the whole time, pretty much. There's the odd little bit in there, but it doesn't off-put you like I feel like this does. And it's something that I just don't like about Jodie's Doctor, personally. But anyway, on to the next point. I liked how it was explained that the Doctor saved Graham, Ryan and Yaz from the plane, by changing things in the past, but it did feel a little convenient, and the fact that she did the same sort of thing to resolve the main story plot just didn't really work for me. So yeah, I was a bit kind of confused at the start when, you know, Ryan was finding all these signs with his name on it. It turned out it was the Doctor, and kind of straight away I thought, okay, well, she's just going to go back in the past and do this. I knew that was going to happen. We've seen that a lot in Doctor Who, but I was generally like, I'm okay with it. I was a little bit kind of off-putted by, you know, when she was talking on the screen. She was like, oh, this is a crisis. It's a real situation. But once again, she was being silly and really dragging out her conversation. And that, once again, just off-putting for me. Don't like it. But generally, I did quite like that thing. However, the way they resolved the main plot point of, you know, the computers, the Khazarvins wanting to use humans as, like, hard drives, basically, which I thought was a really cool idea. It's just the way she just kind of, oh, yep, we fixed that now by just changing something in the past. Didn't even show us that bit. I like how they showed us how she saved her companions from the plane, but it didn't even show the main plot resolution. So I was a little bit disappointed with that, not gonna lie. What else have we got on here? Yep, I've already mentioned this. The Master was by far my favourite part of this episode, definitely. I think Sacha Dhawan just does an amazing job. He's so good as the Master. We're definitely going to see him again, because he ends up, at the end of this story, he gets trapped in the Khazarvins world, so we're clearly going to see him again. He's not dead, he's just trapped there. We're going to see him again, I would probably expect, at the end of this series, if not early next series. What else we got? All the confrontations between the Doctor and the Master were great. Every time the Doctor and the Master confronted, they were amazing. You know, they first saw each other again when they were in 1824, was it? Something like that? 1820 something. Yeah, 1842, 24, I don't know. They saw each other there, and that was a great confrontation. When they saw each other at the top of the tower in, that was 1942, right? Because it was during World War II. I love that bit, and I love the little reference of, did I ever, what was it the Master said? Did I ever apologise for pushing you off that, whatever it was? That was a reference to the Fourth Doctor. When he regenerated, he got pushed off by the Master off that radio tower thing. That was a nice little reference. I didn't actually get that at the time, but I looked into it, saw some reviews, and heard about it. I thought, oh yeah, that's actually a really good reference. So I liked that. There were also a couple of other references in there that I can't quite remember off the top of my head. So yeah, everything with the Master and the Doctor together was really good, because generally, the Master and the Doctor together, it was a bit more serious. There was one little part that, you know, when the Doctor was like, you don't know how I got out of it. That was a little bit of a silly moment, but at the same time, it kind of worked as well, because you could tell the Doctor was playing with the Master, and I like it when that sort of stuff happens. So here's the big one. I'm excited, however, also quite nervous about Gallifrey being destroyed. The big thing at the end of the story was, you know, when they were on top of that tower, the Doctor and the Master told the Doctor that he'd been back to Gallifrey, and he found out that it was destroyed, it was nuked, it was pulverized. And the Doctor didn't believe him at first, but then once she got rid of the Master, she fixed everything, she decided to go back to Gallifrey, and we actually saw, with our own eyes, Gallifrey completely destroyed. Nothing, well, there's like buildings and stuff left, and you can see the, you know, the, what do they call it, the, I don't know what they call it, the main city of Gallifrey, all destroyed, completely just in ruins. I really like this. I think it's really exciting. It's also nerve-wracking though, especially with the whole thing of what we've thought of the Time Lords all this time, what we, you know, have grown up to believe it's all a lie. I'm a little bit nervous about that, because we don't know a whole lot about the Time Lords at all, and I'm all for getting to know the Time Lords a bit better, but at the same time, we kind of want to keep them a little bit secretive. We don't want to learn everything about them, and I'm just worried that Chris Chibnall is gonna be like, you know what, we're just gonna completely rewrite everything and just do things how we want to do it, and I'm a little bit worried about that. I'm excited to see where this leads, but I am also in the back of my mind a little bit nervous. Yeah, that's basically what I've got to say about that. Graham's funny moments with the laser shoes I thought was quite funny. I did quite enjoy that. I thought it was a little bit kind of convenient that he just managed to, you know, kill all the Kazavins with the laser shoe by accident, pretty much. But then I did quite like when he came back and, you know, the Barton's people came to him and he, you know, like held them off with the shoes. I like that, and I loved his little line like, "You don't want me to do the shuffle" or something. I thought that was hilarious. I loved that. To be honest, out of the 3 companions, Graham was my favourite in this one, which he was my favourite from Series 11 for sure, and he was in this episode. And then finally, the chase across time was good. I did quite like it. However, felt a bit ripped off from the first Doctor story, The Chase. And this really got in my head a lot more than it probably has for some people, because I literally just watched The Chase less than a week ago. It was my last Doctor Who Classic review, so it was really embedded in my brain already. And then watching this, I was like, yeah, this is just The Chase, but with the Master, and not as much jumping around. And also, this part felt very disconnected from part 1. Part 1 was very much spies, James Bond-esque. This one was chase across time, which I don't mind them being so disjointed like that, but at the same time, it doesn't really flow too well. They're literally like I mean, even the villains in this one, the Kazavins, the secondary villains, I suppose, to the Master now, and Barton, they weren't really that prominent in this episode at all. It was very much Master focused, which I enjoyed because I loved the Master so much, but at the same time, they were interesting and they kind of just got pushed back, especially the Kazavins. I found them really interesting. I was wanting to know more about them, and we did get to know more about them, but they didn't play as big of a role in this episode, so that was a little bit disappointing. Anyway, I've actually rambled on a lot more here than I did in my previous video. This is going to be like 17-18 minutes long, so I'm going to try and wrap it up as quick as I can here. So Spyfall Part 2, what am I going to rate it out of 10? I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. I didn't enjoy this one as much as I did Spyfall Part 1, and I'm a little bit disappointed by that because I was hoping that Part 2 would build up and get more tense and just really knock it out of the park, but sadly it didn't. It just felt a bit disjointed, a bit all over the place. There was a lot of stuff that I didn't enjoy with the Doctor. The Master was amazing and by far the best thing of the story, but I felt like the Doctor was great in some scenes, absolutely amazing, the best she's been in some scenes, but also not really to my taste in other scenes. The companions felt like they were just kind of there. They didn't really have too much of a purpose, and generally there was a little bit of kind of, you know, ripping off of The Chase, ripping off of the Series 3 finale. Yeah, in conclusion, didn't like this one as much as Part 1, but it's still decent. I think altogether right now, because I give Part 1 a 9 out of 10, I'd probably sit Spyfall on as a whole at about an 8 out of 10, split it down the middle. This may change on my rewatch, but at the moment, yeah, as a whole, Spyfall gets an 8 out of 10 from me. Anyway, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.